My grandmother's nurse convinced everyone she had dementia so he could marry her and steal everything, but he didn't know I was still visiting her in secret. I was 17 when Roger called the family meeting. My parents had died in a car accident 3 years ago, and I'd been living with my grandmother ever since. She was sharp, witty, always helping me with college applications. Roger was her nurse. He'd been around for about a year, helping with her medications and checkups. That morning, he sat me down with a lawyer present and announced my grandmother had been diagnosed with rapidly progressing dementia. She'd been moved to a memory care facility for her safety. Then he dropped the real bomb. He and my grandmother had gotten married 2 weeks ago. He was now her legal guardian with full power of attorney. When I asked to see her immediately, Roger smiled that smile that didn't reach his eyes. Let's give her time to adjust to her new environment. He added I could only visit with supervision. Something felt very wrong. Within days, Roger started selling grandmother's things. Her antique desk vanished first, then her jewelry, her paintings, facility costs, he'd say with that empty smile. But my grandmother was wealthy. She'd never needed to sell anything. Then he began opening my mail. My college acceptance letter sat on the counter, already unsealed. I control your college fund now, he mentioned over dinner. We'll discuss whether higher education is really the right path for you. The way he said we made my stomach turn. I couldn't accept it. During lunch, I took the bus to the facility and snuck past the front desk. Grandmother sat by the window staring blankly. But when she saw me, something flickered in her eyes. Trinity? She said, confused at first, then clearer. Trinity, sweetheart, what day is it? For 5 minutes, she was herself again, asking about school, my college plans, laughing at a joke I made. Then the fog rolled back in. It didn't make sense. Dementia didn't work like that. Around this time, Roger's brother Trevor started appearing at the house. He'd lean in doorways while I did homework, watching. You're really growing up, aren't you? He'd say, filling out nicely. The way his eyes traveled over me made my skin crawl. I went back the next week. Grandmother gripped my hand during another lucid moment, her fingers digging in with surprising strength. Something's wrong with me, Trinity. I don't feel right. Roger gives me my pills every day. Before I could ask what she meant, a nurse appeared and said visiting hours were over. That night, getting water, I heard Roger on the phone in his study. He was laughing. It's working perfectly. She's losing her mind more every day. The old bat won't last much longer. I froze in the hallway, ice spreading through my chest. When I visited a third time, Roger suddenly appeared in the doorway while I held grandmother's hand. His face went dark. He yanked me into the hallway and told the staff to add me to the restricted list. That night at home, he cornered me in the kitchen. Trevor leaned against the counter, blocking the exit. Your grandmother is very sick, Roger said, stepping closer. His hand clamped down on my shoulder hard enough to bruise. These visits are upsetting her. You need to accept reality and stop being selfish. Do you understand me? I nodded, but I understood something else entirely. The next morning, I called grandmother's old doctor from the school library. My voice shook as I explained everything. The sudden diagnosis, the marriage, Roger's behavior, grandmother's moments of clarity. There was a long pause. Trinity, he said gently. Roger called me last week. He's very concerned about you. He says you're having trouble accepting your grandmother's condition. My throat tightened. That's not. I understand this is hard. Denial is a normal part of grief. I hung up and called grandmother's sister, then her cousin. I begged them to visit her, to see for themselves. Both said the same thing. You're going through a difficult time. Roger is sacrificing so much. 2 days later, Roger assembled another family meeting. My great aunt and grandmother's cousin sat on the couch looking at me with pity. Roger spread documents across the coffee table. My failed chemistry test. A note from my counselor about skipping classes. The facility's visitor log showing my unauthorized visits. Trinity has been making wild accusations, Roger said, his voice dripping with false concern, claiming I'm somehow hurting Margaret. Her therapist says this is a grief response. Sweetheart, my great aunt said, reaching for my hand. We know this is hard, but you need to accept what's happening. Roger is doing everything he can. He's lying, I shouted. She doesn't have dementia. He's doing something to her. Silence. Everyone looked at me like I was losing my mind. 3 days later, Roger changed the locks on grandmother's garden shed. Safety reasons, he said. Valuable items stored before we sell. I was completely alone. No one believed me. Weeks later, I overheard Roger on the phone. Left the extra supply in the garden shed, grabbing it tomorrow. That night, I broke the shed lock with shaking hands and tore through grandmother's pottery supplies. Hidden under a tarp was a box containing prescription bottles of benzodiazepines, none in grandmother's name, and a journal in Roger's handwriting with dates and dosages. My grandmother wasn't sick. Roger had been systematically drugging her to fake dementia so he could marry her and steal everything. I heard footsteps on gravel, then Roger stood there with Trevor, eyes on the box. Full story linked below.